Could Egypt's modern military conquer Israel? Imagine a future where old wars come back with a new twist. Could Egypt's modern military, with its advanced technology and newfound confidence, really challenge Israel's power in the area? We show you what President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi meant when he said that Egypt could beat Israel in any future war. What would have to happen for this to actually happen? Join us as we look at this statement's historical background, modern military capabilities, and geopolitical effects. Are we about to start a new era of war in the Middle East, or is this just a leader's words meant to show how strong his country is? Let's find out what's possible together. During a recent address, Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi asserted that his country's military is capable of defeating Israel in any future conflict. This statement has sparked a significant amount of discussion and criticism. Discussions regarding the geopolitical and military dynamics between these two adjacent nations have been revived as a result of these words, which were made at a speech to military generals and reported by the newspaper U7, which is pro-government. The comments made by Sisi are investigated in depth in this video, which also investigates the historical context of the war that occurred in 1973 and evaluates the probable ramifications of such bold claims in the light of the geopolitical circumstances that exist today. In order to have a complete comprehension of the significance of Sisi's words, it is necessary to reflect on the historical backdrop of the Yom Kippur War, which occurred in 1973 and is also referred to as the October War. Unpredictability and sudden fluctuations in military fortunes were hallmarks of this struggle, which represented a key moment in the history of the Middle East. On Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, Egypt and Syria launched a concerted surprise attack against Israel on October 6, 1973. This attack was carried out on behalf of both countries. The Israeli occupation of the Sinai Peninsula was the primary objective of the conflict, which was waged with the intention of regaining territory that had been lost during the six-day conflict in 1967. A number of significant victories were scored by Egyptian forces in the early stages of the battle. These victories included crossing the Suez Canal and establishing a foothold in the Sinai Peninsula. In a similar manner, Syrian forces made substantial advancements on the Golan Heights. Israel was caught off guard by the unexpected invasion, which resulted in significant initial setbacks from the beginning. The Israeli army was ultimately successful in fending off the Egyptian and Syrian attacks despite the early wins it had achieved. A substantial number of losses were sustained by both sides during the fight, which was marked by violent engagements. In spite of incurring significant casualties, the Israeli force was able to reorganize and mount counteroffensives, which ultimately resulted in a position in which the fate of the war remained unknown. The United States of America played a significant part in the battle by supplying Israel with emergency arms supplies. These shipments reinforced Israel's ability to continue fighting, which ultimately led to a stalemate being reached. The conflict came to an end with a truce, and the subsequent peace negotiations resulted in the signing of the Camp David Accords and the Israel-Egypt Peace Treaty in 1979. President Sisi recently gave a speech in which he referred to the battle that took place in 1973 as the biggest defeat of the enemy, highlighting the huge impact that the war had brought upon Israel. The words made by Sisi gave the impression that the Egyptian military, having previously proved its competence, could perform at a level that is comparable to or even beyond its previous accomplishments. Using a colorful comparison, he compared the fight to a car race between a German Mercedes and a Spanish C8. He asserted that Egypt's military could win the race despite the discrepancy in perceived strength between the two vehicles. His conviction in the capability and resiliency of the Egyptian military was highlighted by this comparison, which positioned Egypt as an underdog with the potential to triumph over great hurdles. The words made by Sisi are striking for their audacity, especially when considering the current state of the geopolitical environment. In spite of the historical context, these remarks are being made at a time when Egypt and Israel have seen levels of cooperation and strategic alignment that have never been witnessed before. Egypt has made significant strides toward modernizing its military in recent years, which has resulted in an increase in the capabilities of the military in a variety of fields. The following are important components of this modernization. The Rafale and the MiG-29M/M2 are two examples of the cutting-edge fighter jets that Egypt has purchased, which have contributed to the country's tremendous improvement of its air force. Egypt's military might is bolstered by the presence of these cutting-edge aircraft, which improve the country's capabilities in air combat. Through the purchase of cutting-edge submarines, frigates, and corvettes, the Egyptian Navy has been able to significantly enhance its capabilities. Through the construction of its naval forces, Egypt is able to project its strength in the Mediterranean and Red Seas. The Egyptian government has made significant investments in the modernization of its ground forces, including the acquisition of cutting-edge artillery systems, armored vehicles, and underground tanks. The enhancements bring about improvement in its capacity to effectively carry out ground operations. The domestic defense industry is comprised of Egypt has made efforts to create its own defense sector with the goal of increasing its level of self-sufficiency and decreasing its dependency on suppliers from other countries. Israel continues to exercise its position as a regional military force, possessing superior capabilities in a variety of sectors. Important components of Israel's military might include the following. The superiority of the Air Force. The Israeli Air Force, IAF, is well known for its cutting-edge equipment, which includes stealth jets of the F-35 variety and radar systems that are extraordinarily complex. When it comes to maintaining air superiority and carrying out targeted strikes, the Israeli Air Force, IAF, plays a critical role. Missile defense systems. In addition to a wide variety of missile threats, are protected by Israel's missile defense infrastructure, which includes the Iron Dome, David's Sling, and Arrow systems. This infrastructure offers comprehensive protection against these threats. When it comes to protecting against rocket and missile attacks, these devices are absolutely necessary. Intelligence and cyber capabilities. It is widely acknowledged that Israel's intelligence organizations, such as Mossad and Shin Bet, execute their missions with remarkable efficiency. In addition, Israel possesses highly developed cyber capabilities, which enable it to disrupt the operations of terrorist organizations and collect vital intelligence. However, despite the fact that Sisi's words highlight the power and capability of the Egyptian military, it would be extremely difficult to achieve a decisive win over Israel in a modern fight. The technological advantage that Israel possesses, and especially with regard to air and missile defense, would provide significant challenges to any possible foe of aggression. The Egyptian military has unquestionably improved its capabilities as a result of its attempts to modernize its military, but it would be an extremely difficult undertaking to triumph over Israel's sophisticated defensive and strategic advantages. Israel continues to hold a significant advantage in terms of strength in the region due to the fact that it possesses superior technological capabilities and a well-established defense infrastructure. Sisi's statements also have ramifications for the geopolitical situation. There has been an unusual level of cooperation between Israel and Egypt in recent times, despite the fact that the two countries have a long history of war with one another. This includes strategic cooperation and economic agreements, such as the controversial gas deal that puts Egypt as a regional energy superpower. Among these are the agreements that take place. This cooperative partnership may be put under strain as a result of Sisi's words, which may have implications for both diplomatic and economic connections. The responses of the international community to these remarks have the potential to have an impact on the larger geopolitical scene, which may have further repercussions for the stability and cooperation of the region. The recent statements made by President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi regarding the possibility of the Egyptian military defeating Israel have provoked a significant amount of debate and analysis. Despite the fact that these words illustrate Egypt's military modernization and assertiveness, the prospect of securing a decisive victory over Israel continues to be a complicated and difficult concept. The historical context of the conflict that occurred in 1973, in conjunction with the contemporary geopolitical and military reality, highlights the considerable challenges that Egypt would face if it attempted to challenge Israel's military superiority. The broader consequences of Sisi's words reach beyond the capabilities of the military and have the potential to influence diplomatic relations as well as the stability of the region. The importance of keeping open channels of communication and engaging in diplomatic engagement cannot be overstated as both countries handle the difficulties and possibilities that are presented to them individually. Over the course of the coming years, the relationship between Egypt and Israel will continue to be shaped by the intricate interplay of military capabilities, historical grudges, and geopolitical dynamics. If you found this exploration of Egypt's potential military challenge to Israel compelling, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Don't miss out, subscribe now, and stay informed on the latest developments.